What if the traits people criticized you for your entire life were never flaws at all? Today, we're breaking down 9 signs of extremely rare psychological type. This personality type is uncommon because it combines deep emotional awareness, strong intuition, and independent thinking, traits that rarely coexist at high levels. Let's start. Number 1. You feel deeply but express selectively. You don't feel emotions lightly. Your nervous system processes emotional information more intensely than average. Psychologists call this high emotional sensitivity. Brain imaging studies show that people like you have a more reactive amygdala, meaning emotional signals register fast and strong. But here's the difference. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't let those emotions spill everywhere. It evaluates first. So instead of reacting, you pause, you ask yourself, is this safe? Will this be understood? Is it worth explaining? That pause is not emotional suppression, it's advanced emotion regulation. Research shows some people regulate emotions internally rather than through outward expression. You don't vent to feel better, you reflect to gain clarity. This is why you don't open up easily. So you choose silence over misinterpretation, calm over chaos, depth over noise. Outwardly, you seem composed. Internally, your emotional world is rich, layered, and constantly active. That combination, intense feeling with controlled expression, is rare. Number 2, you crave meaning over stimulation. Your brain isn't bored, it's underfed. Psychologically, this trait is linked to high cognitive depth and low reward sensitivity to shallow stimuli. Studies on dopamine regulation show that not everyone gets the same pleasure from noise, novelty, or constant stimulation. Your brain doesn't light up for small talk, trends, or surface-level entertainment because it's wired to seek meaning, coherence, and insight instead. This is why loud environments drain you while deep conversations energize you. It's not introversion alone, it's cognitive selectivity. Your mind naturally asks why instead of just what. You want to understand motives, patterns, emotions, and long-term impact. Talking about weather or gossip feels like chewing air. Psychologists describe this as depth-oriented processing. Your brain stays engaged when there's something to analyze, reflect on, or connect to a bigger picture. Without that, stimulation feels empty rather than relaxing. Number 3, you're highly observant, but quiet about it. You notice more than people realize. Psychology links this to heightened perceptual awareness. Your brain automatically tracks tone changes, pauses, inconsistencies, and emotional shifts without conscious effort. While others hear words, you register how they're said. While others react, you're already analyzing what's underneath. Neuroscience shows that people with this trait have stronger connections between emotional and analytical brain regions. That's why you don't blurt out observations. Your mind checks context first. Is this useful? Is this safe? Will saying this help or complicate things? So you stay quiet, not because you don't see it, but because you see too much. You've learned that pointing things out often makes people defensive or uncomfortable. Silence becomes strategy. This can make others underestimate you. They assume you're passive, unaware, or disengaged. In reality, you're mentally several steps ahead, quietly mapping patterns. You don't need to announce what you notice. You store it, connect it, and let it guide your decisions later. That quiet awareness is power, and it's rare. Number 4. You need solitude to function well. Solitude is not an escape for you. Solitude is regulation. Psychology explains this through nervous system recovery. Your brain processes more emotional and sensory information than average, which means social interaction consumes more mental energy. Even positive interactions require effort. Your system does not shut down from people, but it overheats. Research on sensory processing sensitivity shows that people like you need quiet time for the brain to return to baseline. Without solitude, thoughts stack on top of each other. Emotions blur together. Creativity drops. Irritation rises for no clear reason. You may start feeling unlike yourself even though nothing is technically wrong. Time alone allows your prefrontal cortex to reorganize information and your stress hormones to settle. This is why clarity returns when you sit quietly, walk alone, or do nothing productive at all. Other people recharge through stimulation. You recharge through absence. Number 5, you are empathetic without being naive. You understand people deeply, but you do not confuse understanding with trust. Psychology explains this through cognitive empathy combined with emotional boundaries. You can recognize what someone feels and why they behave the way they do without automatically excusing harmful behavior. This balance is uncommon. Brain studies show that empathy activates emotional processing regions, while boundary setting relies on executive control in the prefrontal cortex. In your case, both systems work together. You sense emotional pain quickly, yet you also evaluate patterns, intentions, and consequences. Compassion does not override discernment. This is why you often see the human story behind someone's actions but still choose distance. You may feel sadness for them without offering access to yourself. Some people mistake this for coldness. In reality, it is emotional intelligence. Number 6. You are drawn to inner growth, not external validation. Approval feels pleasant, but it does not drive you. Psychology links this trait to intrinsic motivation, where behavior is guided by internal values rather than external rewards. Brain research shows that people with strong intrinsic motivation rely less on dopamine spikes from praise and more on long-term satisfaction from alignment and self-respect. You may notice this in everyday life. Compliments register, but they fade quickly. What stays is the quiet question of whether your actions feel honest. You care more about becoming calmer, wiser, and more grounded than appearing impressive. External success without internal coherence creates discomfort rather than pride. This often confuses others. Some may assume you lack ambition or confidence. In reality, your standards are internal. You evaluate yourself based on growth, insight, and emotional integrity. Studies on self-determination theory show that people like you experience deeper well-being, but also more internal pressure, because the measuring stick never comes from outside. Number 7, you outgrow people, roles, and environments. Outgrowing does not happen suddenly for you. It happens quietly, internally, and often long before you say anything out loud. Psychology explains this through identity development and cognitive growth. As your values, awareness, and emotional needs evolve, your nervous system starts rejecting environments that once felt familiar. What used to feel safe begins to feel restrictive. Research on self-concept evolution shows that people who reflect deeply tend to update their identity more frequently. Your brain constantly reassesses whether a role, relationship, or environment still aligns with who you are becoming. When the answer turns into no, discomfort appears first. Motivation drops. Emotional fatigue follows. You may feel restless without knowing why. This process often brings guilt. You remember who someone was to you. You remember old versions of yourself. Leaving feels ungrateful, even when staying feels dishonest. But growth creates distance naturally. It does not ask permission. You do not outgrow people because you think you are better. You outgrow because your nervous system refuses to keep shrinking to fit spaces that no longer support your psychological health. Letting go hurts, but staying costs more. Number 8, your presence triggers change in others. People often react strongly to you without fully understanding why. Research on social reflection theory shows that when someone embodies self-awareness, it activates comparison processes in the brains of people around them. You do not need to say much. Your presence alone highlights emotional patterns, inconsistencies, or avoided truths. For people who are ready, this feels inspiring. For people who are not, it feels threatening. You may notice this pattern repeating. Some people open up quickly around you. Others become defensive, distant, or oddly competitive. This is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because your nervous system operates with a level of internal coherence that naturally disrupts emotional avoidance in others. You do not force change, you reveal it, and revelation always creates a reaction. Over time, you learn to accept that not everyone will feel comfortable around you, even when you are kind. Your presence carries psychological weight, and not everyone is prepared to carry it with you. Number 9. You sense a purpose you cannot fully name yet. There is a quiet feeling that follows you, a sense that your life is meant to move in a particular direction, even if the destination remains unclear. Psychology connects this to identity formation and future-oriented cognition. Your brain naturally thinks in terms of meaning, contribution, and long-term impact rather than immediate reward. Neuroscience shows that people with strong default mode network activity spend more time reflecting on who they are becoming and why their experiences matter. This creates an internal pull toward purpose before the purpose has language. You feel it as restlessness, curiosity, or dissatisfaction with paths that look fine on the outside but feel empty on the inside. This can be uncomfortable. You may doubt yourself, wondering why certainty has not arrived yet. But purpose rarely appears fully formed. It develops through exploration, pattern recognition, and lived experience. Your mind is gathering information, not failing to decide. You are not lost. You are in the process of alignment. The